that if you would like to.
Perfect. Yes, I will do. That's fantastic. Oh, thanks for that introduction, Bex. I think it's massively important at this time, especially at this time, that we know and understand how to look after ourselves, because there is so much worry going on. And I've just sat and listened for the last 15 minutes, but I think it's probably providing you a little bit of reassurance that actually some of you are in the same boat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to take you through some things that will help for not only you guys, but also for children in your settings and things like that. Why is that not letting me stand by? Oh, there we go, technology. There we go. Okay, so well-being is really important, and it's something that I think a lot of us are not very good at all the time. We're very good at, you guys are experts at looking after children and things like that, but maybe sometimes we're not that great at looking after ourselves. So hopefully the next half an hour or so, 40 minutes, I'm going to give you a load of tips on how you can do that, and you can pass these on to whoever. So I want you to actually just sit and think about 2 things that are actually impacting you or your children's well-being at the moment. And I think it'll probably be a lot around uncertainty in the business and what's happening and lockdown and everything like that. So our needs and that needs of children are pretty much very similar. This is what we need, okay? Basic physical needs, affection, security, stimulation, guidance and control, responsibility and independence. When we feel those things, and when children feel those things, we feel happy. That's our homeostasis. That's where we feel comfortable, we feel confident. If that security and our surroundings, if you like, are threatened, we feel fear, injustice, humiliation, and automatically we go completely to our irrational brain. When lockdown first hit and everyone was rushing to supermarkets to buy toilet roll and everything else, it wasn't the rational brain or rational person that was going to buy that. It was the person that felt threatened, that they couldn't provide for their family, they couldn't provide that security for them, and that's what tipped people over the edge. And it's the same, that's an ongoing situation now. Are your services going to be open? Are you going to be bringing in money? And all those kind of things. The brain is a wonderful thing, okay, but it is more stimulated by negative thoughts than it is by positive thoughts. So I guarantee those of you with children, or when your kids get home and you say, you know, how's your day been? They will automatically tell you about the negative things before they tell you about any positive things. I guarantee when Bex asked the first question, probably when she opened this session, the first thing that came to your mind were the negative things, because that is what stimulates our minds a lot more. But we can do things to change those habits. So even little things like next time you think, do you know what, that's really negative, or if you speak to your kids or you speak to your partners and say, okay, how's your day been? They will tell you the negatives, but then I want you to double that amount and say, okay, now tell me 4 positives from your day, even if it's just someone laughing or a joke you've shared or something that's made you smile, something that's made you happy, because you can change your habits. We just need to train ourselves to do this. Now, even me being in this group for the last 15 minutes, there's a lot of worry, and I can feel the worry coming through the questions and your faces and everything like that. But when we worry, it gives us a sense of purpose, if you like. It makes us feel as though we are in control of something, and we like to feel in control. As I say, it goes back to, if we don't feel in control of a situation, it automatically makes us anxious. It makes us not sleep. It makes us feel sick. It makes us ask questions. So if we worry about it, it almost makes us feel as though we are doing something about it, even though we can't do anything about it. There's nothing we can do. Situation that makes us feel powerless. You know, I guarantee all of you have not seen your friends and family and that for so long during lockdown. You probably ring them and say, I've been really worried about you. But you think, well, are you actually worried about them? Or is that just something we say because it makes us feel as though we care about them or we're missing them, if that makes sense? We worry to protect against disappointment. And the whole crowd dynamics. I am a massive fan of crowd dynamics. I love it. I love human behaviour. And I think it's fair to say, if we'd have stopped media reporting over the last 12 months, a lot of this worry, a lot of the humiliation, injustice, fear wouldn't have even been here. Okay, because we tend to believe everything we see and read on social media posts, especially social media. And half of the stuff we concern ourselves with or worry about are not even true. So I am a massive advocate of saying, if you see something on social media and you think, oh my days, you know, that classic example, when the second lockdown hit, there was a picture of a crowded beach going around on social media. And the amount of comments and the amount of like real passionate hatred in these comments that was really stressing people out. And this wasn't even real. This was taken 2 years ago. So it's kind of those things that you get frustrated and you share it. We kind of almost want to believe, you know, your nosy neighbour from up the road, what they say on social media is fact, rather than actually checking out facts. We need to go to positive places, you know, the government website for you, or Bex for you guys, because she will always provide you with the accurate information. So rather than worrying yourselves over stuff that is fake, don't do it, because I guarantee it will be 10 minutes of stress that you will never ever get back. And it's the same with kids as well. Ways that we can deal with our emotions. Okay, so just basic overview. We have 3 parts to our brain, okay, and everything that comes into our brain, everything that comes into our mind goes through a computer. Okay, you cannot stop it going through that. It will automatically go through that. If we feel fear, injustice, humiliation, threat against our territory, against our family, against our well-being, against anything like this, it's primal instincts, we automatically go to our rational brain. So I guarantee all of you at some point would have had a text message come through. You've completely misread that text message, and your instincts, you can feel your heart rate going up, you can feel your palms getting sweaty, you can feel your vision. When we're stressed, we lose up 80% of our sight and vision. Sight and vision is a safe thing. Sight and hearing. Okay, so that tunnel vision comes in, and I guarantee you'll have sent a real snappy text message back, and then you reread the text message and think, that's not what they meant in the first place. Okay, it's our irrational fears, because that is our fight, flight, freeze instincts taking over, and they are a wonderful thing. You will never ever ever be able to manage that, though. That is an automatic reaction. Your irrational brain, if you like, is always going to be there, but it's important you learn how to manage it, because we've got enough stress going on at the moment without taking on stress that you can't deal with and you can't cope with. Excess worry, about things that you can't control. And I'm going to go through some actual exercises with you later that you can actually just do, that will hopefully relieve a lot of your fears and worries, because it is a stressful time enough. Even little things, you know, like when that text message comes through, if you start reading it, just smile or just laugh, you know, just laugh, because we need to find ways of distracting the brain. We need to find ways of switching it off, so we can have a minute to actually think rationally and then reply to that text message. Apologize, even if you know you are in the wrong about something, or you're not in the wrong about something, just apologize, because ultimately, the more, if you think about a tin of beans, every time you worry about something, put that tin of beans on your shoulders. So if you imagine how many tins of beans you've got on your shoulders at the moment, literally weighing you down, if you apologise, even though you know it's not your fault, you can take one of those tins of beans off you and you're a little bit lighter. Okay. Share. Bex has been brilliant for this, because she's created a platform that you can actually go on and you can share your concerns, you can share your worries, and you can establish the facts at the same time. So don't be afraid to share, because sometimes we genuinely feel as though we are the only ones feeling a certain way, or we're the only ones that actually are going through this, whereas you're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. There is so many people feeling the same thing, and that can be a whole support network and things. So don't feel as though you can't talk about things. Digital and helpful thinking, and we'll go on to that in a minute, because there's definitely some ways around we can do it. things you can do. Sorry, I'm just trying to move this little camera thing, gets right in the way. Moved it now. Appreciate effort no matter what. And I think little things. So every time you wake up in the morning, you are at homeostasis. You're happy. Everything's okay. You're getting out of bed. You're gonna have a cup of coffee. You're gonna do whatever you want to do. Say, for instance, you are meant to be getting out of bed because you've got an appointment or something, and your alarm doesn't go off. So when you get out of bed, you're already a little bit agitated. You're already thinking, oh no, now I'm late. And then you get dressed and you spill your coffee down your best top that you wanted to wear that day. So you know now you've got to go and get changed. Okay, your body is slowly coming up to trigger point. It might be then you go out to the car and the car doesn't start. So now you're literally so frustrated. You're well late for this meeting. You've now got your new clothes on and everything else. You're stressing because you're going to be there late. Now you're stressing about what you're going to say. By the time you get to that, I don't know, the 2 lanes going into one, unless this bit stereotypical, that white van man pushes in front of you, what do? You're thinking, you try and drive up as close as you can to that person. The person that slams the brakes on, you're going up. There's probably some hand signals and everything going on now, and you are at absolute trigger point. Okay, you are at crisis. You are literally, the world is going to end. You're going to die. Everything happens to me. I'm the only one in the world that this happens to. I am literally at breaking point. I guarantee by the time you drive over the next couple of roundabouts, your heart rate will have come down a little bit, and you'll start to feel a little bit bad, and you'll start thinking, oh, that fan really didn't do anything wrong. I probably shouldn't have been shouting at him like that. And you're almost going to a remorseful state. Okay, you've just had a whole morning of stress that you could have negated by just thinking, oh well, I'm a bit late. I'll just ring somebody and say I'm going to be a little bit late, but I am on my way. Coffee, oh well, happens all the time. Just go get changed. We put so much pressure on ourselves because we want to be perfect. We want to be right, but we can't do that. But it's about managing your thoughts and your feelings. You are in charge of your thoughts and feelings. You'll never get rid of your irrational brain. There is literally nothing you can do. Your irrational brain is 5 times stronger than your rational brain. So it's going to win every single time. But it's about finding ways to cope with that. So appreciate effort no matter what. That was the whole point. I got off on tangents on the back. Sorry, I'm back in the room. So my whole point of that was, if you are up at crisis and then, I don't know, someone brings you a cup of tea and it's not how you like it made, you literally, I don't want it, just go and make me another one, or whatever it is you do. But how is that going to make them feel? Okay, appreciate effort no matter what. Encourage people to practice to build competence. Okay, I always try and role play everything with the kids and stuff like that, because if you imagine, in all of our brains we've got a filing cabinet. If you just picture a filing cabinet in your brain, you want to fill that filing cabinet up with as many emotions, as many feelings, as many situations, and as many thoughts as you can. Because, and the same for you guys, we are creating a society at the moment that is worried about failing, is worried about fear, is scared of everything. And it's kind of like, all of those feelings are amazing, because if you can encourage kids when they fail to get back up and figure out what it is they've learned from that, and the same as you guys with your businesses and things, if you fail something, figure out exactly where you went wrong, and just don't do that next time. It's part of learning, it's part of growing up. And competition is good, because every time we lose something, every time we don't do something perfect, that memory gets stored in the filing cabinet. And it's a wonderful way of just going through things. If you role play things, all of those role plays are stored in that filing cabinet. So if you find yourself in a situation like that in 5, 6, 7, 20 years time, your brain will automatically go back to that situation, and I guarantee it will help you. Let them figure out the problems themselves, let them at their age, encourage curiosity, give them new challenges. And that's the same for us. Adults are massively into our comfort zones. We don't like it when we have to step out of our comfort zones. However, stepping out of your comfort zone is the best thing ever. I always say the only thing you get from failure is learning. Failure is not a negative thing in any way, shape or form. And I guarantee you guys will, most of you will have the same routine every day. If you drive to work, it'll be the same route. If you walk to school, it'll be the same route. Whatever you do, you will take the same route. Next time, mix it up and drive a different way or walk a different way, because your brain needs to feel confused. And I think the whole pandemic, this is why we are not coping as probably well as we could, because we don't like change. We're not used to adaptations. And I think definitely even little things, little random things like driving a different way, your brain automatically thinks, okay, I've got to take the time now. I've got to know which way I'm going. I've got to actually think about how I'm driving. If you drive the same way every day, your brain does it in autopilot, and I guarantee half the time you actually get to work, you probably can't even remember how you got there. So mix it up a little bit. Open the door, we've spoken about that. Teach people what you know, and this is geared at kids or adults. Okay, teach them what you know. An example, my kids were talking about my grandma the other day, and I was thinking, I wish I'd have spent more time asking my grandma about her family, about her childhood, about growing up, because really the children, I know it sounds really corny, but the kids are our future. They are going to take on our legacies and things like that. So actually teach them what you know. Don't tell them you worry about the other things. Challenges build resilience to do. Offer help and support, but not too much. I think we, with our words, sometimes can create problems with kids themselves. And we'll be like, a classic example, kids bringing you a cup of tea. You're like, don't spill that cup of tea. What's automatically in their head now? Don't spill that cup of tea, don't spill that cup of tea, don't spill that cup of tea. And you guarantee they spill the cup of tea. And what will you say? Told you not to spill it. You've created them spilling that cup of tea. Okay. So think about the way you word it and encourage them to try new things, but just watch the way you word things as well. I love that picture. I just love it. That's why I put it in there. So throughout this whole period, I know it's not normal. I know it's a weird time, but we have got to try and keep things into perspective and actually remember we are in control of what we do. We've still got ways and means we can contact friends and family. There's still stuff you can do. Find fun things to do. I kind of said to my kids when we hit lockdown, like, that's it, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your lockdown? So one of them said she wanted to learn the guitar. One of them said she wanted to play the keyboard. So we got them lessons, virtual lessons, and they've been doing that ever since. But it's about finding ways to just mix things up a bit. I had a Zoom on Friday night with my friends and family, and I got the kids to write me a quiz. I said, right, do a little music round, do some questions and things like that. And they actually did the whole quiz and ran through it all. And they were so nervous and they were like, no, I don't want to do it. I said, you are doing it. Well, you're going to be all right. And they absolutely loved it. And now they want to do one every week. So it's going to be quiz every Friday night. But it's ways of just helping them. I know they're not at school, and we're going to have big enough problems with confidence and the social side of it, getting them back to school, and with us. You know, we are going to struggle. So, but it's finding ways, and I'll give you loads of ways in a minute, to actually just think about it and think about what we can do to help them and help ourselves, really. Because you've got to remember, every time little ones hear us feeling anxious about the unknown, about what's going to happen, they are hearing all of this. Okay, COVID could be a wonderful lesson for the kids if we allow it to be a wonderful lesson for the kids, because it is teaching them about resilience. It is teaching them about, you know what, this planet is more than us. You know, it's a bigger thing. So there are so many lessons. We just need to find them. The lessons they don't need to be learning is from us being negative and saying, that's it, I want it all over now, I just want to go out, we can't do anything, this is rubbish. Because The flip side of that, this is quality time you've got with your family that you would never normally have. There's probably some of that's good, it might be that bad as well. I'm a massive believer in fear. Fear is your friend. Fear is there to protect you. Fear is making you step out your comfort zone. So what I want you to do, you don't have to do it now, do it at some point over the next couple of days. I want you to sit down and actually think about what it is that you're scared of. I want you to ask your kids and those kids in your settings, what is it they are scared of? Okay. Generally, if, say, parents are scared of spiders, the kids will be scared of spiders because they've seen your reaction. It's learned behavior. Okay. Whereas if you guys you're fearful of what's going to happen to your setting, you're fearful of the future it's going to create, you know, you're fearful of not getting the recognition you deserve, you've got to find ways of controlling that fear. And hopefully I will give you a little thing to do in the moment. In fact, let's do that now. Let me find it, because this is a brilliant thing. Right, okay, I've not got it. Right, what I want you to do is, when you've got time, I want you to get a big piece of paper and I want you to draw a big circle on it. And those in will have done this before, but it's really important to do it over and over again. I want you to get a piece of paper. I want you to draw a big circle around the end of it. I want you to, on the outside of that circle, write everything that you are worried about. Literally everything you are worried about. If it's, it can be anything. If you want to do it COVID specific within your setting, do it. Think about what it actually is that you are worried about. Are you worried that you're going to have to close? Are you worried that you're not getting paid? Are you worried that kids are not going to keep coming? Are you worried these summer schools are going to take over? Are you worried the schools are going to take over? Are you worried you're not getting the recognition you want? Whatever it is, just write everything down. Literally spend a few minutes just concentrating and thinking, that is everything I'm worried about. Once you've done that, you need to draw a smaller circle inside that big circle. And I want you to think about all of those things that are on the outside, and I want you to think about what you can actually influence. What can you directly influence of those things? So say, I don't know, the summer school, the school's taking over the clubs or whatever it is. Can you directly influence that? If not, why are you worried about it? Do you get the idea? So go around everything that you've written around the outside and move the ones into the inner circle, into the smaller circle that you can influence. Okay. Then I want you to draw an even smaller circle in the middle. And I want you to move everything into that smaller circle that you have direct control over. Okay. So, do you know when lockdown? Have you got control over when lockdown ends? No. Have you got control over your setting? Yes. Have you got control over funding? If you have, you might be able to apply for grants and things like that, but have you got overall control and how that funding works? No. And I want you to just literally think about everything that is in your control and move that into the center. And I want you to realize that you can't control what you can't control. So stop trying, because we are worried about everything else, but actually we're losing focus on what's important, and we're losing focus on what we can control and what is important to us and what is important to our families. If we cannot control it, let it go. And I say that quite flippantly, and I don't mean it flippantly, because obviously there's always going to be some things you worry about, but that's what Bex is here for. Okay, Bex will give you the support you need, and Bex will give you the information you need. So if you're spending hours trolling through guidance and government and other stuff like that, and you're getting yourself into a bit of a tiz and you don't understand it, you know that Bex is going to end up posting that. So just let go of what you can't control and trust people that want to help you. Does that make sense? It's a really good, and do you know what? You can do it with your kids, do it with your kids in your settings, do it with everyone, because the more people that know about that, the better. Because especially with kids going back to school, it's kind of like, if you do it with your kids going back to school, they write down literally everything they are worried about. I guarantee there's only about 3 or 4 things that they will actually be able to control. So, and you may be able to influence some stuff when they're going back. You might be able to influence, you know, if they're worried about getting on the bus, okay, can you walk them to the bus stop for a couple of days? Or can you take them into the classroom? What can you do to influence their return back to school? And it's the same for return back to work. You know, if you're not working at the moment and going back to work, what can you control? But it's a really, really good thing. So visualization is a massive thing, and I've already spoken about this a little bit, and it is massively about role playing for me. Literally any situations, and it sounds really stupid, but role play, have conversations with people about this. You know, what you are doing at the moment with this, especially the talk before, you are actually visualization, because you're talking amongst each other and you're going through scenarios and you're going through situations. That this, find a calm place and a quiet place to go and relax. Okay. Ask, if you're doing it yourself, you ask yourself the questions. If you're doing it with your kids, ask them the questions, and identify why they think they are not good enough or what it is they're afraid of. Actually, just take time. We're not very good as a society of taking time for ourselves, okay? And some people get meditation and stuff like that. I've tried it, and my brain works at 100 miles an hour, and I can't switch off enough to be able to relax for meditation and things like that. But hopefully you'll be able to just do this for 10 minutes, okay? Think about, truly, why do I think I'm not good enough? Or what is it you are afraid of? Ask them, or you, imagine, write down the ideal scenario. So I'll use the instinct of going back to school because it's the easiest one. So in their head, they're going to get on the bus, everyone's going to be laughing and joking, and they're going to be sitting with their friends, and they're all going to be talking to each other, and they're going to get to school, and they're going to go through all the classes. And in their head, what is that perfect scenario? And get them to really visualize it. And you guys do the same for whatever it is you're concerned about as well. And just close your eyes and imagine how that situation feels. Remember, what we're doing when we're imagining how it feels is we're unlocking our heads, we're pulling that storage cupboard out, and we're popping that feeling and we're popping that visualization into our lockers, and then we're going to shut it again, because we've stored that reference in our brain now. So when we are actually in that position, in that situation, we're going to refer back to that. So I want them then to write down that scenario, or their ideal situation, and what it's going to be, and actually write next door the negative thoughts, what the positive thoughts are. So if they think about, okay, I'm going to get to the bus and I've not seen my friends for that long, so no one's going to speak to me, that could be a negative thing. Right next to it, well, what's the positive side of that? You're going to get to that bus and you're going to be laughing and joking with all your friends and things like that. So that's a really good little exercise. Visualization is a massive thing, because all you're doing is filling that storage cupboard up, and that is a good thing. With your irrational brain, talk about it with your kids, okay? When they have that little outburst, or you're sitting there going, right, get off your tablet now, no, get off your tablet now, no, get off your tablet there. That's two irrational brains talking to each other. You're not going to get anywhere, okay? It's the same with tantrums, same with behavior. If you are trying to rationalize with an irrational brain, it is not going to happen. You're just going to become irrational, and then you've got two irrational brains talking to each other. Negative impact. Just stop and take a breath. Explain this to them, and you actually name yours and get them to name theirs, because this is never going to go away. It's like you getting a new dog. You've got to tame that dog. Same with your irrational brain. So name your irrational brain. Have a name for it. Get your kids and that to have a name for it, because then you're thinking about it and you're realizing that's exactly what's going to happen. So once you've named it, talk about it. If you know you're going to have a little outburst, or if you know that feeling's coming where you're starting to feel sweaty palms and you're starting to get really stressed and really agitated, just take a breath. Okay, I always think to myself, if you imagine a tiny little drone and you become a tiny little person and you hop on that drone and you come up above the situation and look down, you think, is this going to directly affect my life? Do I need to be stressing about this? Do I need to be worrying about it? Do I need to be losing 10 minutes of my life arguing with this person? By the time you get back down off your drone, I guarantee they'll have become the rational side of them, and you will be able to cope with that situation. There is no point causing yourself unnecessary stress, unnecessary worry, because we've got enough of that going on at the moment that we can't control. So control what you can control. What can we do to help them? And always recognize their anxieties. Okay, we've just spoken about that. Anxiety gets is a word that's becoming increasingly negative, if you like. Anxiety is not a negative thing. Anxiety is something we all get. Okay, we all get the feelings of anxiety. It's just how we deal with that. If we keep talking about anxiety, it's going to become a massive thing for that person. Okay, so yes, I know that's how you're feeling. So let's think about how we can stop those feelings, or how we can help those feelings. Recognize it as a normal feeling. Create a space to talk and be curious to listen. Sometimes we just want to rant about rubbish, don't we? Okay. But I guarantee if you're on a rant, you will only rant for a certain amount of time, and then you will stop. And it's at that time you can have a conversation with people. Manage external stresses. Go back to that, what you can control all the time. If you cannot control it, forget it. Think about thinking. We're not very good at thinking about thinking, which sounds really random, but our minds are almost going 100 miles an hour all the time, and we don't give ourselves time to think about stuff. And emphasize strength. So the feeling of anxiety is fundamentally the same feeling as excitement, but it's the emotion we attach to that. It is a good feeling. Establish goals and targets and establish values. This is massive for you guys, okay? Establish what it is you want to achieve, but within your control. Like, establish, I understand that everyone wants to be recognised by the government, but the government are like a law on themselves at the moment, you know. I don't think they even recognise themselves, let alone anyone else. But understand that parents understand your worth. We massively recognise your worth, because without people like you, we couldn't go to work. You know, we couldn't do the things that we do. And for me, social care, like childcare, is massive for child development. Huge for sharing, for learning all kinds of things, because they don't want to learn from parents all the time. So you guys are in an absolutely perfect, brilliant position to be able to teach kids, because they will want to learn from you, because you create that safe space. And I guarantee, I forgot to introduce myself at the start, I am a police officer, have been for 18 years, and I am still serving. So I have worked within the safeguarding element for quite a while. I've done a lot of work with victims of paedophiles and things like that. And I guarantee, I am telling you now, each and every single one of you will have had a direct impact with at least one child within your care that has been either abused, sexually, physically, however, mentally, however it is. I know the difference you guys make in terms of, some kids can't talk to their parents, you know, they've not got that relationship there. Some parents, as you know, just genuinely won't care about them. So you guys are in that position that you are almost foster parents, if you like, to all these kids. And I guarantee you probably won't even know how much of a difference some of you have made, but I guarantee you will have done. Get them to write a list, or you write a list as well. And you don't have to do all of these. These are just some ideas of things that you can do. Right, if you're afraid of something, write it down. But you can't just say, I'm afraid of it, because you're not afraid of it. What is it you are afraid of? What is it you are afraid of going back to school? What is it you are afraid of that the virus is going to have a direct impact to your business? Because it won't be everything. It can't be everything. It's just in our head that it's going to be everything. You need to, before you can move on, you need to actually pinpoint the exact thing that it is that you are worried about, and then we can work on that. Imagine doing your fear. You know, like, it sounds really stupid. If you're scared of spiders, pick one up. And I know that sounds really like flippant, but pick one up. And I don't mean the very first day you think, right, I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to start looking at it. Well, it's not going to happen. But next time you see a spider, and this is just for like instance because it's an easy one, but it's the same kind of thing. Next time you see a spider, don't scream, just stand where you are and look at it. Okay, and think, what is it that I'm scared of? Is it the way they move? Is it their legs? Is it the shadows? Like, because it's definitely not the fact that they're going to eat you or anything like that, because that's just irrational. Okay, but figure out what it is that you're scared of. I was then talk about scared, made me jump. Every time, think about something, write down what you're afraid of, write down the positive after it. Always follow a negative with a positive, because I've already told you our brains are more stimulated by the negative. We need to stop that habit. We need to make our brains more stimulated by positives. What is it they're afraid of? I'm afraid to talk because. Get them to imagine doing it. It's all the same kind of thing. Changing self-talk, okay? This is a huge one. Negative talk can lead to low self-confidence, okay? So make 2 columns, and this is another one again. Make 2 columns, bad, negative. The other one, good, positive. Write down all the negatives on one side, okay? And then write down, turn that negative into a positive on the other side. Keep them specific, keep them in relation to your talents and your abilities and things like that. Keep them relevant, because if you write down a negative, I don't know, my settings will end up closing, or I don't know how to frame it for you guys, but if you can't, go back to that circle, and whatever you can control, that's your negative. There is no point writing negatives that you cannot control, because you won't be able to turn them into a positive, because you can't change those things. You've got to be able to change them. Here's my circle. I know it was somewhere. So this is exactly what I mean, okay? So you've got your circle of concern on the outside. So that's everything. You just absolutely write everything that you're worried about. What do you wake up thinking about in the morning? What are you worried about happening? What is it that worries you? Write it all down. Then write a smaller circle, what you can influence. What can you directly influence? Circle of control, write it down, what you can actually control. The circle of influence, the circle of concern, we're going to get rid of, because we can't carry that on our shoulders. Think of how many, everything you write down equates to what, 10 tins of beans or something, and that's what you're carrying on your shoulders. Just throw them tins of beans in the cupboard. Even little things, you know, like kids knowing you can trust them, that builds self-esteem and that builds their confidence. So make a list of the chores they can do and praise them when they complete. If they do it wrong, just correct them, but still say, well done, you get on with it. Let me stop sharing. Did that make sense to everyone? To kind of just go on a tangent, this is my bag. I love stuff like this, and I can see it happening all over the place. I can see social media. Every time a post comes on, I'm like, oh no, the amount of anxiety that is going to cause in so many people, and they're going to get stressed about it, and then they're going to share it. They're going to share it to everyone. I'm sitting there thinking, please establish facts before you share it, because all we're doing is believing everything we see. And it's not good for us, it's not good for anyone. We've got enough stress to deal with it as well, without the media and social media and things like that. So just trust established sources.
Tori, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I'm really bad. I just kind of come on and say, ah. So I am Tori Edwards. I am mum of twins. They are 12, soon to be 13. That is my primary role. I am also a police officer, have been for the last 18 years. I've done various roles, including what I was saying about the safeguarding type elements with paedophiles. I'm currently in training at the moment. I have been for the last 18 months, no, 2 years now. So I teach taser, I teach officer safety, first aid, public order, things like that. So yeah, I've seen a lot of things in relation to kids. I've seen a lot of stories going on, and genuinely, you guys help so much, because a lot of kids, and it is the sad reality, and you'll know the kids you've got, you know the kids better than some parents do, and you are the people that are going to spot signs that they need help, that they need extra help, and that for me is incredible.
And what do you do now?
What do I do now?
As well as the you know, being a super mum, super cop, and you've got another real interest, haven't you?
Yeah, so my passion is trying to help parents through all kinds of things, because I love being a cop, but I realised about 18 months ago, 2 years, that I couldn't help people in the way I wanted to do. And it's the same with you guys, you know, all the red tape that surrounds it and all the legality stuff, and you can't make too much of a difference because you have got these ball and chains legislation and stuff around your ankle. It's the same with the police force. So my passion was, and I'll tell you the thing that swung me really. I got sent to a hotel room to safeguard 3 kids. There was 2 brothers and a sister. The sister was about 12, and the brothers were about 5 and 2. And I sat on the bed with this little girl, and she looked up at me and she says, Tori, she says, I can't wait to die. And I was like, she says, I can't wait to get older. And I thought, oh, why is that? She says, do you know what? I can't wait to die. And it absolutely broke my heart. And her parents had been making them make films with all the siblings, like doing stuff to each other. And I walked out of that hotel room and I could not stop crying, because even after all that, all she wanted was her mum, and the brothers just wanted their mum. And you know what? That was the point. I thought, I need to help people. So I set a parents group up that's called Parents Protect. And in there, I give loads of advice about internet safety, about well-being, about personal safety, about all the different types of dangers really of first aid, because for me it's really important that every kid has the childhood that they deserve, and I am very aware that a lot of kids don't get that childhood at the moment. So when you think that you're not recognised or anything like that, genuinely you are recognised from the police and from families, because you do make a massive difference. Has that made sense to everyone? Has anyone got any questions? Or was it all that clear? You don't feel as though you've got to do all of those things, because you will find what's right for you. But just remember, you can't take on the world's problems. You just can't, because your health will suffer, your mental health will suffer, your well-being will suffer. You can only deal with what you can deal with. And that's kind of the point, if you recognise that. Everyone else take on their battles, but just think about yourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm really pleased. It's hard when you've got a PowerPoint up and I'm just kind of looking at myself. I'm going off reactions. But genuinely, folks, this, honestly, Bex will really help you. And it's just incredible coming on and seeing this many people here with all the similar interests. You've even got the same worries and concerns. So hopefully that will have put you guys at ease as well. So, yeah. Is there anything else you want, Bex? Do you want me to do anything else?
No, not at all. I think, you know, if there's no sort of questions for the audience, I think you've given them so many ideas. And I think they're also things that you guys will be able to use with your teams as well. Because you mentioned that return to work anxiety that I think quite a lot of people will have. And I know some of the people that I've been working with have had that sort of return to work anxiety with some of their teams. So I think it's really cool that they've got those little exercises to work through.
It is massive. Like, nothing's really changed in my life. Myself, my partner's, we've been at work throughout this. Obviously the kids are homeschooling now, which is a joy. But I think it really is, like last week I was injured, so I was at home, I worked from home, and this week I have been off because I've been off. So I've been in the house for 2 weeks, and I've got a newfound appreciation for people that have been in the house for so long. Genuinely, I said to my daughter yesterday, if I text back, I've had enough now, I need to go for a walk. Like, genuinely, even after 2 weeks. So I think it is going to be a massive change for people getting back. And don't get me wrong, I don't think things are ever going to go back to normal. I think there will still be a lot of people working from home. My sister's already said she works for Walker's Crisps in logistics. I think they're looking at keeping her from home. So I think a lot of things will change, but the social aspect, especially in relation to children, is going to be one that is going to be hard to get people back into. I'm a massive believer in facial expressions and reading body language and things like that, and I think kids are already lacking the ability to do that, because as soon as they went to primary school they just sat and looked at a screen. So I think things like that are so important to be able to recognize. But yeah, we're kind of losing all that, because my kids will get up at 9 o'clock, they'll sit in front of a screen all day, and then they'll sit in front of a screen on the TikToks or whatever at night. So we're trying to mix it up a bit and do different things, because it is going to be a massive adjustment, I think.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, you know, something that a lot of parents that I've been speaking to have been really worried about, and I'm sure that, you know, I see lots of nodding heads as well. Is there sort of anywhere people can, you know, come and ask questions of you? I know you're in the Childcare Collective, so Tori's she's my go-to girl when it comes to giving you guys a pep talk, because she's dead good at a pep talk. But also, you know, is there any sort of really good places on the internet that these guys could go to if they needed some kind of resources? I know I'm thinking one around apps and things like that. You know, where would be the best place to go?
So I put a load of stuff in my group, so you'd be more than welcome in my Facebook group. That's Parents Protect. We're doing internet safety at the moment, so there's loads of stuff in there about internet safety. And just contact me if there's stuff that you want me to do in there. I'm more than happy to do in there. There's somebody going live at 3 o'clock, and she was talking about decluttering and things like that. I'm trying to think what for apps and things. Think You Know. If you go on Think You Know, it's a NCA website, but they've got packs you can actually download and you can do with the kids. So they're like activity packs on all kinds of different things. So yeah, get that, have a look on there, and you can download them directly to your laptop or whatever, and there's loads of exercises and stuff. But yeah, you're more than welcome in my group. I'd love to have you all. The more we can do together, the better.
Well, Nicola, you had a question.
Yeah, I mean, it is about resources, but is there anything that you can adapt for parents when it comes down to, I find that a lot of my time is spent with parents that have got problems. And, you know, if there's any resources there that can be sort of passed on to them, for them to, for their anxieties.
Yeah,
really.
Definitely. What I can do is, I can pop, do you want me to pop them in your group in a bit, Bex?
Yeah, that'd be fab. I know Nicola's in there, or you know, I know Tori's group's full of really useful resources, and they share loads of stuff. So go, probably even easier if you go and join Tori's group and go and have a good scroll through that.
There's loads of stuff for parents in there as well. It's not just kids, because, you know, we can safeguard kids as much as we can, but for me, until parents understand why they behave the way they do and everything else, they can't teach the kids. So yeah, we do a lot for parents in there as well.
Yeah, that's what I find. I find a lot of the things that I have to tell parents is, especially if it's their first child at school or the first child within childcare, you know, they always act well for you, you know, the behaviour is good, but they're not like that at home. You know, what do you do differently? Why do they eat those things with you when they refuse to eat them at home? And I find having to educate parents, and it's just sort of trying to signpost them to places
Stuff like that, get them in my group.
Much time with them. Yeah.
Give them my group, honestly. All stuff like that is in there. Or yeah, everything like that is in there. And I will always answer questions. So if they just message me, I'll do whatever I can in there. But yeah, everything like that. Sorry, I thought you meant actual resources. Yeah, just direct them to my group.
Fantastic.
Tori, do you want to
let me deal with your parents?
Yeah, always let the copper deal with the
I'll deal with them.
Tori, do you want to pop your group link in the chat, and then that'll be just in case anybody does want to go and join that. Yeah, cool. Has anybody got any other questions? Anything you've always wanted to ask a police officer but too scared to ask? Because I ask her all sorts of random questions, like, can I tase somebody? And she says no, which I'm really sad about. She won't let me.
That's my job. I can't spell.
No further questions. I love that. There you go.
I think that's in there.
Wonderful.
Well, it's been lovely. Thank you very much for having me.